Everybody, we are here with Rosie this morning. Rosie is doing really good. She is on 1 week today. Okay, good girl. We have been working on all of her basic obedience and just her overall kind of learning to be a little bit calmer and not jumping so much. Okay. Today we have added, I'm not going to pull her, Rosie. Good girl. So today we have added, as you can see, the transitional with the slip lead. And the transitional is basically we make a figure eight with it. Yes, so sweet girl. Right, so we make a figure eight with it, and it's going to go underneath there, and it goes over their muzzle. So the reason we do this is because this is going to allow us to add the pressure, the very light pressure, especially with the transitional. It's like pinky's worth of pressure with Rosie. That allows us to add the pressure to additional pressure points, not just the ones in her skull, but also the ones in her muzzle. So luckily, she had just enough muzzle for us to be able to do transitional with her, which is great because she tends to get a little distracted. She's a really happy girl. She really likes to explore everybody and everything. So this gives us a way to communicate with her a lot easier without having to rely on our spoken English language, which isn't very helpful when you're working with your dog. You know, they're going to learn, excuse me, let me just fix my leash. They're going to learn, certain words, and they're going to pair that to an action, but they're not going to understand full sentences and really understand what we're communicating. They respond more to tones and pressure and release. So that's why we do pressure with the slip lead, and we also do spatial pressure, which is when we add this force of pressure by standing in front of her, right? So if we're holding this pressure, she's doing so good with that though. Okay, Rosie. Good girl. So as you can see, when we do this, I'll even show you, it's literally, so you can see, it's literally a pinky's worth of pressure. That's all I need, just a very tiny bit. Less is more. If she does that little head jerk, now this is her first day working with transitional, so it's very, very common. She's actually doing great. She's not trying to paw it off of her face. She did for the first couple of minutes, and that's super common. But once she realized, oh, if I just sit down and I calm down, there's no pressure on, and if I start pawing at it, pressure actually gets worse. So she's making that communication herself. So she's doing really good with understanding that if it's just a loose leash, there's no pressure, and it feels the same as it just resting on my fingers like this as it does resting on her face like that. There is no difference between this and what she feels right now. Now, if I were to go like this, that's pressure, and that's what she feels as well. So less is more. If we can teach her that this teeny little force of pressure means I need you to calm down and go into a more relaxed state of mind, then she's only going to need tiny little pops and tiny little red lights, good girl, to get her to go into that relaxed state. And you can see how much calmer she is just in general. Okay, good girl. Rosie. Good job, Peanut. So right there, she takes off because she's just so used to being able to do what she wants on a walk, right? So she goes flying out into the front. So what our main goal is this week is to really, come on, Rosie, is to really teach her where my invisible box is. So every time she basically gets in front of my knee, pressure is going to naturally turn on, and she now understands what pressure means. It either means go into a calmer state of mind, or little pops mean pay attention. So if she's going just a little bit ahead and she just does that, see, I don't even have to do anything. I'm just holding it with my 2 fingers. And every time she goes out of my box, she's doing that to herself, and she's really learning herself what works and what doesn't work. So your handling skills are important, but come on, baby girl. But the beginning stages of teaching her what the tool means is important to not use a lot of pressure. So when she comes home, just remember to tell yourself, come on, baby girl. So right now, neighbor came outside and she's over distracted. So I tried to give her a couple pops and keep moving, but clearly she's not focusing on me. She still wants to look over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop her. I'm going to put her in that calmer state of mind. And then I have my ever so wonderful hot dogs in my pocket. So we use these for high distractions. Sit. So we use these for high distractions. When she's really distracted, I have something. Yeah, just untangling you, boo. There you go. Right, so 1 second, I'm gonna tangle her. So now I have something to regain her attention on me rather than the distraction. So I'm not just going to give it to her because that's telling her, Rosie, that's telling her that I'm rewarding her for that type of behavior. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it to say, hey, look, I have some. Rosie, come. Good girl, sit. Yeah, see, when you do that, you get tangled, love. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to pause this. Okay, sorry about that. It's really hard to try and adjust that when she's jumping all over the place and I only have one hand, especially when she's trying to eat the treat. So back to what I was saying though. So we want to get her into this calmer state of mind. The treat really amps her up a lot. So just be cautious about using them. I would prefer she responds to you rather than a treat. A treat should really, in her case, just be used to grab her attention and then give her something else to work on to reward her and get her mind off of the other distraction. So now that I've got her calmed down, okay, good. So right off the bat, she started moving and she jumped. We're going to stop right there. We're going to get away from these bees. Come on, honey. Yeah, let's get away from the bees. Hang on 1 second. There's a few bees right there. Let's get away from them. Okay. So right off the bat, when we started walking, she immediately jumped as soon as we started moving. That's not a calm takeoff at all, right? That's her just being really excited and just taking the lead and everything like that. So we don't want that type of behavior when we do takeoffs. So treats, as you can see, get her really excited. Now our goal is to keep her calm because once she gets really excited, you're going to have to calm her down again. And that's a lot harder to do. So even right there, I have to go and adjust her leash. As soon as I went like this, she starts licking and getting really excited. She's not going to calm down from there if I progress going on to what I was doing. She's only going to get more hyped up. So we're going to take a step back from that. And all I'm doing is adjusting her leash to see how it slid down a lot. I just want to adjust that. Excuse me, sorry. I just want to adjust that so that it's not, so what I'm going to do, so it's not slid down there. So I'm just going to slowly start by letting her lick my finger a second because I have a lot of hot dog smell on me. There we go. And then we want this centered in the middle of her head. So what I'm going to do is, Rosie. So again, this is hard with one hand. There we go. Okay, so now we have it recentered. Come on, Rosie. Okay, so right there, we're not going to start pulling her to move. I'm going to use her name, Rosie, to get her attention. Rosie, good girl. Right, so your leash should just be a seatbelt. It should be loose 90% of the time. Come on, Rosie. So you can already see the hot dogs kind of got her out of her groove. She was doing really well, and then I started giving her hot dogs to get her focus back, and now she's all like, rah. So with Rosie, you really need to learn how to keep her in a calm state of mind rather than letting her get worked up. And I know it's challenging, but this is the best type of stuff to do with her. So taking walks is giving her physical exercise and it's giving her mental stimulation. Rosie. So I'm not going to give into that. Rosie, off. I'm also never going to let her take that off of her face. If she starts to learn that all I have to do is paw at this thing long enough and it'll eventually come off, Rosie, off, then she's going to continue to keep doing that. And then she's going to try longer and harder because she knows it eventually works. She has yet to get it off of her face by pawing at it. I will be the only one that takes that off of her. Okay. Okay, Rosie, good girl. Right, so right there, we're just going to use those light pops just to communicate, slow down as soon as she gets to that passing me, right? So we're keeping her in this nice, calm, focused state. We're also going to start turning. Good girl. If you just go in a straight line, she's going to lose focus on what you're doing because all we're doing is walking straight at the same pace. They're not going to want to pay attention to you very long if you do that. So doing zigzags and turns and pace changes, practicing your stops. Okay. Your releases, even just practicing things like this where you just kind of move around a little bit while she has to stay. So she pops up. I just reapply pressure. So by this, we're teaching her just because something's happening around you doesn't mean you get to get up from that calm state. Okay, until I say okay or heel. Rosie, heel. Good girl, yeah. So this is great. She's doing a really good job, especially for her first day with the transitional. She's making great progress with all of her other commands. She's doing really well with waiting at the door. She's doing great with socializing with the other dogs. Jumping, she's doing a whole lot better than she was before. Of course, we still have some work to do on that, but that will probably always be a work in progress, I'll be honest. Once she does this long enough, she's going to realize, but that's pretty much ingrained in her at this point. So I think it's taken, I believe you said eight or 9 months. We'll even say a year just to be whatever. But, she's been doing that habit for 6 to 8 months, we'll say. It's going to take a little while for that habit to break because she's so ingrained in her head that when I jump, I get attention, and it's the quickest way for me to get them to focus on me. So, it's going to take us a little bit of time to make sure she understands that's not the way we get attention anymore. So now she sees my cat. Right, so just pop. If we have to do more than 2 or 3 pops, she's clearly not focused and paying attention or slowing down, then we're going to go into a calmer state of mind. So if I've said, hey, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, she's still not paying attention, okay, then calm down. Right, so, okay. Ever so wonderful Fred, who loves to taunt us while we practice our heels. So right there, starting to get excited. Calm state. Now, I'm not going to move forward right this second because you can already see how on edge she is. If I say okay right now, she's going to bolt towards my cat. So, good. So she just broke tension on him. She's looking at something else. It's not as exciting anymore. Now would be a better time for me to release her, right? But until I say, Rosie, good girl. Okay. Now, I waited until I said her name and she was able to focus on me because, again, when we're healing, it's a game of follow the leader. So she can't even follow me and look at me while we're in a calm state of mind. She's not going to be able to move forward and focus on you with the distraction. So, Rosie, just practicing getting your dog to focus on you when there is a distraction is the first step of the ladder. If you can't do it while they're sitting, you're not going to be able to do it while they're moving. I promise you, it's much harder. But it's really not hard. Easy. Good girl. Much better, Rosie. Easy. So even taking my hands away with her, slow motions. Just nice and calm voice, calm tones, calm movements. If we want her to be calm, we need to relay the same kind of energy. If she starts jumping and we're like, Rosie, you're so cool, girl. If you do all that, you're rewarding that behavior and telling her this is what I like and this is how you get my attention and all of that good stuff. So right now with me, she's learning. She only gets that kind of attention from me when she's calm. So as long as we reinforce that when she comes home, she'll be a lot better. So even just taking treats, much calmer, right? Before she was, even just a few minutes ago, she was jumping and flying. But I'm even keeping my tones low when I'm talking right now because I don't want her to get all fired up. Excuse me, sorry, I have the sniffles. Chilly morning. Hey, chilly morning, huh, girl? Sun's finally out, though. Okay. So now she's focused on the treat, right? So I need to get her to refocus on me again. Luckily, she's looking at me because I have treats, but see, now she's getting all crazy because I have the treats. So I would prefer when she comes home that we don't even have to use the treats as much. I'm hoping that I can work her through the distraction part of this pretty well so that you don't even have to worry too much about the treats because, as I've said, the treats get her amped up and we're trying to find ways to keep her calm and she gets really excited with treats. So maybe save the treats for when you get back to the house after she's done a really good walk. Now, when you go out into public and stuff, the first few times, I'm still going to recommend you have some kind, even just food, her dry food, because she loves her food anyway. That's really beneficial for her. Come here, baby. That's really beneficial for them because learning feeding by hand is a really great way for your dog to gain respect for you and learn that they aren't in control of resources and that resources come from your pocket and that you're giving them a job and a paycheck, basically. So she's going to respect the food and she's going to listen to you a lot more if she has to do something for her food. Now, a lot of times people say, you know, I put the bowl down and I make them sit and wait. That's great. I would much rather you do that than anything. But you could do that like 6 or 7 times in one meal if you wanted to. You can just put down a little bit of food and make her sit and wait and pour some food in the bowl and then say, okay, let her go eat it. And then this is what we call, it's called paper plate recall. So let's say she's sitting there and we'll just pretend that there's a bowl right here, right? So I would just put down a few kibbles in her bowl and we're working on impulse control. So if she tries to run to the bowl, I'm already prepared with my leash on. I can stop her from doing that and make her learn impulse control. Just because some food fell in the bowl doesn't mean you get to leave this calm state. So teaching her, we do that a bunch of times. So we'll drop some food, she stays, I'll say, okay. And then she can run and eat the food, not eat the cat. She can run and eat the food, and then I can say, Rosie, yes, good girl. And then recall her back when she's done finishing eating that. And then I do it again. Drop some food in the bowl and make her say, wait, okay, good girl. She goes and eats it while she's eating. I step back. Rosie, come, sit. Good girl. Good girl. Yes, you are. Good girl. So yeah, there's a lot of really great ways that you can work with her throughout the day. That doesn't just mean like doing homework of doing repetitions. Now, if you do that, that is awesome. I still recommend highly when you come home, you have to, when she comes home, do repetitions with her because she respects me as a handler at this point and she knows that I have follow through with all of this, that if I say she has to do it, she has to do it. But she doesn't have that same type of repertoire with you. She kind of feels like, you know, your relationship is what it is. So teaching her that you're going to reinforce the same things that I did when she was at my house is going to be your homework when she comes home. So practicing doing these repetitions with her is important because you're going to balance the scale where, you know, she's done so many repetitions so far and you as a handler haven't done any at this point with her yet. So you're going to have to, you know, balance the scales out a little and get her. She's going to be easier for you since she knows what the commands mean. It's just going to be up to you to practice your handling skills at this point with her and really reinforcing everything. So, okay. But this is great. These are the kind of things that we really want to practice with her, just like being calm, and just around the cats. Come on, Rosie. Good girl. Nice, so just walking with a nice leash. It's a beautiful yo. Slow her down just a little bit there. She got a little excited, picked up her pace. Same there. So I just reminded her. Little reminder. Reminder. If I have to do one more, we're going to stop. Girl. Okay. So even just the leaves blowing. Good girl. That's all it is, just some leaves. Okay. Good girl. Turn. So yeah, there you have it. Little Miss Rosie's doing great. I'm really proud of her progress. We will definitely be back with more movies. We're going to keep on working with her for a little bit and then head inside and do some playtime. So we will be back with more Rosie movies, and I hope everyone has a good one. Say bye, Rosie. Have a good one.